Tuesday, Stephen A. gave us his post-All-Star break top storylines to watch. Number one was LeBron's last stand. Here's S.A. explaining why.
Give me number one. LeBron's last stand. The Los Angeles Lakers were in the Western Conference Finals last year. We can't summarily dismiss that. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis continue to play the way that they play, and D'Angelo Russell continues to be as effective as he's been the last few weeks, Rui Hachimura and the rest of the crew comes up and remembers how to play basketball with one another like they were doing in the playoffs, this could be it, because the Lakers don't have too many assets. If they don't make a run this year, we don't know if they will. They may be finished for good.
Okay, Wendy, before we get into S.A.'s list, LeBron's out tonight against the Warriors with an ankle injury. What's the latest in the concern level there?
Yeah, so in talking to folks around the situation, I don't think that they believe LeBron is going to be out an extended period. He's missed 3 games in back-to-back sets over the last couple of months dealing with this tendinopathy in his left ankle. He had some treatment, which he didn't specify exactly what it was, but he had some treatment during the All-Star break, and he hinted on Sunday at the All-Star game that he might not be able to play in this game. So that's indeed what is happening. Now, it is a tough stretch right out of the gate here for the Lakers. They play 3 games in 4 days, starting tonight against the Warriors. His status for tomorrow night's game against the Spurs and Sunday's game against the Suns hasn't been determined yet, but I have been told that this is not something to fear a long absence. This is just recovery from treatment, and expect to see him back soon.
Okay, Wendy, appreciate that. I want to get back to Stephen A's list right now. Legs, tell me this. Do you agree with Stephen A that LeBron is the top story to watch as we get into the second half of the NBA season?
It wouldn't be for me. It wouldn't be. And the reason is
Me
because
either.
I don't think the Lakers are going to be able to make a run through the Western Conference. So we could call it the last stand. I don't know exactly what that means. I think, this isn't his last chance where we're going to be talking about LeBron James on a team that potentially could be dangerous. That's what the Lakers represent. There's too many minefields in the West. This isn't last year's Western Conference. This is going to be a different run for the Lakers. So I think there's other storylines to me that are more interesting. Is Jayson Tatum finally going to break through and win a ring? Are the Clippers going to be able to pull this off? Do the Bucks turn things around here the last 25 games after the coaching change? And do Dame and Giannis work? Do the Cavs and Knicks have what it takes to make a legitimate conference finals run? So I think there are more storylines for me that are more compelling because I think there's other teams that legitimately have a chance to make a deep run, whether that's conference finals, potentially finals, or maybe even be a title winner. I don't think the Lakers fall into that category for me. Look, LeBron is always going to generate buzz because it's LeBron James, and the Lakers did what they did last year. Basically had an irrelevant regular season, make the run to the conference finals, which extended us talking about LeBron for 6 weeks. That's not going to be the case, I don't believe, this year, regardless of how well they're playing right now. I think there's more complete, deeper, better defensive teams that have just as much star power in the Western Conference.
Well, Molly, I think LeBron's been the top story in the NBA for most of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
So I don't think Stephen A has taken a position that is out of line there. What's so fascinating about the Lakers is that so much of the time they're basically an average to above average team. I mean, they are in 9th place.
Yep.
But they were in 9th place right about now a year ago. And the thing about this team that is just wild is that they have the ability to elevate their game sort of at the drop of a hat. We saw it happen in last year's playoffs. We saw it happen in the in-season tournament. We've seen it happen over the last month. They have really gotten their act together a little bit. They've won 8 of their last 11 games. And Darvin Ham has leaned into a big lineup where they're starting Hachimura alongside LeBron and AD, which gives them certain advantages. And there are teams, guys, that have trouble with size in the Western Conference. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think the Lakers can replicate the run that they had last year. But I will tell you that there are teams that if they get the perfect path and things just fall their way and they play their best basketball, they could. It would be irresponsible for me to say that they're not. And because that they are the Lakers, and that is true, they have a lot of attention. And I'm going to say one thing that I disagree with Stephen A on. I don't think this is LeBron's last stand. I don't think this is the Lakers' last stand. First off, I think LeBron is angling to sign a multi-year deal in the offseason with the Lakers that will be 9 figures, that will be even bigger than the deal he is on now. Now, whether or not he's able to finish that deal, whether or not the Lakers want to give him a 3-year contract and pay him $60 million when he's 42 years old, that's a different discussion. And I actually believe some of the stuff he's saying right now isn't just about this team, it's about already negotiating that contract. But the Lakers are in position to make a big swing at a trade this summer. That is one of the reasons why they didn't do a deal at this trade deadline. There was no big players to get. Their assets were more limited. When we get to June, the Lakers will magically go from 1 tradable first-round pick to 3 tradable first-round picks because of some arcane rules in the system. And all their players the teams didn't want because they had multiple years left on their contract will have 1 or 2 years left on their contracts. They are in much better position to make a major swing for a trade this summer. And if other teams in the league have disappointing finishes, which you know there will be, you will see opportunities arise for the Lakers. They are a compelling team today, they will be a compelling team tomorrow, and they will be a compelling team in June and July.
Let's go to top 3, though, please. Give it to me. Bam! Jayson Tatum as the league MVP. The man has been putting folks on notice for years. Didn't play that great in the NBA Finals, but he is a superstar in this league, an incredible kid, role model, the whole 9. We love little Deuce as well. Go ahead, best record in the game with the best player on that team. You win the championship, that kind of face of the NBA we were talking about, Shay. Excuse me, nothing to talk about if Jayson Tatum wins the title. Boom, that's a top 3 story.
Tatum currently has the 5th best odds to win MVP at 25-1. That's a big shift from just last week where he had 50-1 odds. All right, Wendy, here's what we're breaking down. Does Tatum have a legit shot to win the MVP this season?
So this is a two-sided question. Is he an MVP level player? Can he be an MVP? My answer, and it has been for a while, is yes. I can close my eyes and see Jayson Tatum holding the Larry O'Brien trophy in one hand and the Bill Russell trophy in the other in June. I believe he can do it. I believe he has got the size, he has got the drive, he has got the skills, he plays both ends of the court. Absolutely, he meets the criteria of being on a great team. Will he win the MVP this year? I think even at those odds, I think that's a bad bet because I think it's longer odds than that. The polling data that Tim Bontemps has done at ESPN shows that Jayson Tatum with the MVP voters is not in the top 5 in the last 2 polls. Now, we'll see how strong Stephen A's influence is on the voters because Stephen A has elected to make this a cause for himself, and he is pushing hard for Tatum. In fact, Stephen A's commentary on this show is probably what's moved the odds. But the thing about it is,
oh
is
God,
that
Wendy, do you really have to do that? He's probably watching this, and I can't.
Well,
we can't make the head any bigger.
Seriously,
I mean figuratively, because he's actually has a peanut head, literally. But like seriously, right now, really? Stephen A's moving.
I know.
I
know. I don't actually think that it's smart by the sports books. They must have money coming in on Tatum, which is why they're lowering it. And I think it's more like Stephen A is influencing those bettors more than anything else.
The essay effect.
The thing about it is there's 2 things working against Tatum. One is that even though the MVP is supposed to be about this season, we know that it's not. It's often about the narrative. And he had a poor showing in the 2022 finals. He was dealing with a wrist injury at the time, but the fact is they were ahead in the series. He had several bad games in a row, and they lost. Last year in the Boston in the Heat series, he didn't perform great. In Game 7, he had a miserable Game 7 when they needed him to deliver. He had an unbelievable Game 7 against the 76ers last year, 51 points in that one, jaw-dropping performance, but he has a couple of sort of red marks on his resume that people want to see. The other thing I'm going to say, and then I'll hand it over to you, Legs, is that it's very difficult for his case to improve. The Celtics have been in first place since November. What's he going to do between now and the end of the season? Get them in more first place? And the way the team is structured, he's not going to have a run of 5-6 games in a row where he scores 45 points. They don't need that. Nor is that the way he's playing. One of the reasons why the Celtics are having great success is that he's given up some of what he needs to do on offense to help other players and also focus on the defensive end. So I understand why Stephen A says that. I understand why the people are making the case for him. Just the lay of the land, I don't see it going that way.
Yeah, look, the ebb and flow of this thing are so interesting to me. And I look at Jayson Tatum. Clearly, he's in the mix. He's going to get votes. There's probably 6 or 7 guys I could list right now that are going to get votes. I don't think Jayson Tatum's going to win it either because it's just like you said, Wendy. You get a feel for the momentum of these type of awards. I don't know that I've been this deep into the season, like coming out of All-Star break when it was this wide open. And it really became open when Joel Embiid got hurt. He was the guy that looked like he had a firm grip on this award and was going to win it.
True.
Once he got hurt, it opened up all these possibilities for a lot of guys, including Tatum. And here's why, ultimately, he's not going to win it. I think the general perception is he's got too much help. It's crazy to think, right? This is a guy that's been to a bunch of conference finals. We were trying to get the number on. I don't know if I didn't have it off the top of my head. I think he's been there 5 times, if I'm not mistaken, to the conference finals, 1 finals appearance. So he's had all of these close calls, right on the threshold, year after year. But early on, he was so young. He wasn't in the MVP mix yet. He was 21, 22 years old going through those conference finals. When he finally got to that level player, like a first-team all-league caliber player where he's a legitimate MVP candidate, the Boston Celtics weren't able to do what they're doing now, which is have that best record in the league. They've got it now. You think that would mean, hey, maybe this is Tatum's year. The problem is people look at it and say, wait a second. You've got too much help now. You've got too much help. Your numbers have been cannibalized by the amount of help that you've brought in. You added Drew Holiday, right? An upgrade over Marcus Smart overall. You bring in a Porzingis, which is an upgrade over Robert Williams or Al Horford because of how much offense they have. You know, Derek White's importance on this team and adding him last year. So there's so many options now for the Celtics. And even though Tatum is clearly their best player, that's how people are viewing this. And it's actually hurt him that now they have, I think, clearly the best starting 5 in basketball right now. It's weird. It's worked against him. So he might be the opposite, Wendy, of what Giannis and Jokic had to do, which was win a couple MVPs and then not finish it off in the playoffs. And people start to wonder, wow, will they ever get another one? Will they get the benefit of the doubt? They're going to have to win a title first. They both did it after getting the MVPs. Yeah. Tatum might be reverse. Go win a title first, and then next year, assuming your team has this level of regular season success, maybe you finally get your accolades and get that award. It's weird. It's worked in reverse for Jayson Tatum, but I agree. I wouldn't put him probably in my top 3 for winning the MVP right now, and I just feel like that's what the momentum out there feels like when this topic comes up. His name is not at the forefront.